Earlier, Kutsia was fatally injured while trying to protect some girls from an armed robber. She wakes up to find herself reincarnated in a fantasy world as Kane, who belongs to a noble family, who has passed. He keeps his memories from his life, so his family considers him a genius. At the age of 5 he undergoes a forced baptism. The gods grant him all their blessings, and max out all his stats. When his family sees this they warn him to keep their blessings a secret, but he sets his sights on becoming an adventurer. Many things happen to Kane in the capital church. He prays and takes him to the world of the gods. Laughing in the style of Santa Claus, as he comments on Kane's return, the young man apologizes for taking so long, and tells them that he is the life have overpowered him in the early stages, and he wants to consult with them about his stats. Zenon admits that his current numbers are inhuman, which worries him even more. God says that his life experience has not yet reached. His current abilities say that even in his current state, he is the most powerful man in the world. He even offers Kane the option of becoming a demigod, which puts him in the same class as holy beasts and divine dragons, but he warns, in his current state, there are limits to what he can do alone, so he shouldn't test those limits. Zenon changes the topic to a lighter note, as he points out that there isn't much fun in their field. Emphasizes he uses his knowledge from his previous life to create something, which leads Kane to think that if he provides something that doesn't exist in the current world, they will become popular. The merchant god joins in and asks if he can do it. Kane later returns to the world and is forced to accompany his mother and sister while they shop for clothes. But he is not comfortable in the store, so he comes out and sees Parma outside and rushes to greet him. He says he's in the capital for his debut. He says he's training at his uncle's shop. Uncle Tominaze comes out and comments how responsible Kane looks, and his nephew reports Kane's nobility. This causes him to immediately apologize for his casual approach. He doesn't take it as a problem, but he wants to see the store. After checking it out, he comments on the variety of goods the store produces. Kane thinks he can make his idea come true, so he tells him about the fun thing he wants to make, and Kane wants to know if he's willing to make it and sell it. He draws it and explains the details so that the merchant can see the comments. He believes that his team can implement his interesting but simple concept at a very affordable price. He is eager to start production, which excites Kane, but he wants his prototype first. Tamani is a little embarrassed because she's too busy to handle the task. Kane calms her down and explains that she should think of it as an upfront investment, which is what she preaches as the head of her company. Gratefully accepts what he gave. She gives her all to the project. Kane leaves the store happy, but his mood quickly changes when he sees his sister, a bit upset that she didn't get to comment on her dress. He starts to complain but gives her a compliment that melts him. Doesn't lose his temper because when he gets home he says he'll comment on every outfit in the evening. He'll sit there and he'll try on different clothes and he'll give glowing feedback, and will make him happy later. The attendant tells him that he asked for the Tamani to be in the shop. He rushes there and is impressed with the quality of work and the turnaround time. Kane informs him how he envisioned the reverse game in his head. The boy suggests that there is a little game to test them. He plays with Parma again and explains the rules to them in real time because he is very excited. Convinced that the game will go his way, Kane feels guilty because it's a classic game from his previous life, commenting on how much fun it was to play Parma and another who gave such positive feedback. Wants to play the game version and a separate version for nobles. He's sure the upper classes want a fancier looking product, but he wants the normal version to be something anyone can buy. Kane greenlights 50 noble versions and thousands of normal versions to produce. They can conclude a contract to produce more as needed, which is determined by the team's lack of surplus funds in his company, so Kane happily presents the bag, which impresses him with his confidence. He promises to do his best. Again is uncomfortable with the bow, so he asks to stop it, because it is only a pre-investment. Tamani offers to draw up a contract and present it to the god of commerce. They take their samples to the altar and swear an oath to the god. When their contract expires, it's taken away, which means no one can produce the same product for 3 years. Now official, Kane wants them to act to start selling the product. Talks about the patent system. Next month, he adds that he wants to prepare a more extravagant gift from his family to the royal family, which surprises the craftsman, because it is a medium-sized company, so it is unprecedented for him to be presented with such an opportunity. He is confident that he can produce something that will impress the king, and Parma, who promises to comply with this request, comments that the young nobleman must have excellent connections, who remembers that the king is not his only connection, as the reverse he says has disappeared means that the gods are enjoying it in their kingdom. As he speaks, he heads home after his meeting, where he gets word that the debut ceremony is about to begin. He rushes to get ready, and leaves with his parents. He becomes a baron in the final audience with the king. Many will focus on him during the event. He warns to beware of other parents who try to introduce their daughters to him. He acknowledges the advice and promises get it right. Even his father is surprised by his mature response. When they arrive at Kane's debut, he locks eyes with Korgino and gives him a hostile look. He sees Korgino's son, his followers being of the same age as himself. He called to him as he advanced. Duke, who has formally introduced himself, and his daughter, Miss Silk, begins to riss him, so that the Duke is forced to interrupt Kane. The father explains Kane's son's dangerous ability, and he reveals his son's dangerous ability explains, and he excuses himself, as the royal family does, their appearance. The king gives a speech to inspire the next generation of elites and ends with a lavish toast. Then when it's Kane's turn to greet the king and his family, he introduces himself very well, and praises the Telestra. He's a good gets SHT, and the king makes him pull it out in silver tongue. He just got the approval of the royal city boys. Kane turns his attention to the king, and the king introduces a reverse game that he developed in collaboration with the Sarah King Company interested, so he later invites him to a private audience, where he explains the game and they can discuss how he will deal with the princess. His father was unaware of his game development project. Kane, since he was promoted to baron, he explains that he is afraid of it. He might not have enough money to maintain the mansion, so he had to find other sources, so his father had to understand his thoughts, because after his parents finished leaving early, he took Kane to his own to go on some tours, encouraged to communicate with some children of their age. He might feel like a normal kid. When Silk comes to talk to him, his thoughts are cut off. They wait for the television and they sit down and start small talk, but he feels more comfortable when Kane drops the main prefix. When he calls her name, Does starts teasing him, which makes him a bit nervous, comes with his friends and interrupts them. He greets her with a silk and compliments her, expecting her to respond, but he gets up and politely greets a woman. Kane shows some respect to his master, as he is the eldest son of the baron. Before introducing himself as the baron, Kane stands up and salutes, but the children misinterpreted as telling them their father was a baron. It's lower than their father, so because he doesn't give his last name, they start looking down on him, assuming he must be of very low rank, so custom tells him to apologize for his rudeness, or he will release his sons. Kane's way of addressing her offends Silk, so she tries to defend him, but Kane interrupts her, saying that it's customary to say who's the first to apologize, taking it as a fighting word, and takes those hands off her, asks if he wants to catch outside. The Silk gets stronger, and makes herself look like a damsel in distress. Kane tells her that she doesn't need to come. Their flirting makes her a bit jealous, so she yells as she speaks. The first guy who can cast God's protection and magic goes up and does the weirdest pre-show routine I've ever seen. After so much drama, he casts a fire spell that's so pathetic even a small child would run away from it. Takes it, but the other guy does the same. The stone casts the arrow spell, which is sad. As they prepare to attack again, Silk stops them and tells the trio that Kane is not the baron's son, but rather the baron, who he calls Garm's third son, Feels, and the trio, who he single-handedly saved from the queen, and an army of 30 orcs, turn back in shock as they hear of the feats of their peers. He commands them to bow, as he greatly outnumbers them. They apologize for their embarrassing stupidity, and they apologize. Silt finds the whole situation funny. She confronts Kane knowing she's wrong, but still lets them move so that the reveal will be sweeter. She comments that he has a dark side, and promises to tell Telesia about it. Going on a date with him, he promises not to say a word. The princess overhears them talking about keeping the incident a secret and wants to know what happened. Kane silences Silk. It is seen as a scandal. They are not married. She uses this as a tool to find out the truth by threatening to tell her father. Silk simply reveals that they are planning to date, which makes Celestia jealous, so Kane says they will go as a threesome to make her happy. The king stops him and calls him to a gathering while playing a game. The king is so amused that he wants to make it his own, but Kane warns him that he intends to spread it to the masses around the Duke. Both use this as an opportunity to warn Kane not to let the princess know that he is marrying the Duke's daughter.